Now, we will look at an important topic in this chapter, which is named as drift velocity. Now, according to the previous concept, when we saw electric currents in conductors, we tried to understand that metals contain large number of free electrons. So, we know that metals contain a large number of free electrons. Now, how are these free electrons in the absence of the potential difference? That is, when you don't connect a conductor across a battery, how are these free electrons moving is an important question. So, you can observe that these free electrons are always in continuous, and this is the most important term, they are in some random motion. And why is it happening? It is because of the thermal energy. So, this happens at any temperature. So, due to the thermal energy possessed within the conductor, you can observe that the electrons are in random motion. Now, due to this random motion, what kind of consequences are going to occur? Due to random motion, if you observe, the free electrons that are moving will collide with the positive metal ions and with high frequency and undergo a change in direction after each collision. So, these free electrons which are randomly moving, they have the tendency to go and get collided with the positive metal ions with high frequency, due to which we know that there will be a change in direction taking place, because this type of collision is called as oblique collision. So, oblique collision will always result in the change of direction. Now, so the next point, see. So, the thermal velocities are randomly distributed in all possible directions. So, if you try to calculate the velocity of the object, so here it is not possible for us to calculate the velocity of individual electrons, rather we will concentrate only on average values. So, if you try to calculate the thermal, if you are able to define the thermal velocities for individual particles, that is individual electrons, how they will be is, they will be randomly distributed. You observe this diagram. So, they will be randomly distributed. As a result of which, what will happen is the average velocity of all the free electrons is going to be 0 in the absence of the battery. In the absence of potential difference, this is how the electrons inside the conductor will behave. Now, due to which, what will happen is, if you write whatever we discussed in a mathematical form, the average value, let's say U1 is the initial velocity of the first electron, U2 for the second, similarly UN is for the nth particle. The sum of all the velocity vectors divided by n is going to be 0, and we are writing them in the vector form because we are talking about possible directions. We cannot say their magnitudes put together is going to be 0. They will only have, it is only because of the directions they get cancelled out. Now, what will happen is, when you apply electric field, what will happen? When you apply electric field means, see, wherever you see this word electric field in this chapter, you are indirectly saying that you have connected it across a battery. See, there are two types of statements, don't get confused. In the previous chapter, if you observe, we concentrated on a concept called as conductors placed in electric field. Means there is an electric field existing in a vast value and conductor is placed in it, inside which, if you see, the electric field was 0. But here the question is about when electric field is applied, in the sense you have a conductor, the conductor is not placed in electric field. Within the conductor you are trying to generate an electric field, means the electric field starts at the left terminal and ends with the right terminal. So, the electric field is going to exist inside the conductor from left to right direction. So, what is the best source to create this electric field? By connecting it across the battery. Okay, so whenever we say electric field, remember that it is the conductor is connected to a battery. So, when you connect it, what will happen to the electrons inside? The electrons will start experiencing force because they have a charge. When a charge is placed in external electric field, it starts experiencing a force, which is given by the expression charge multiplied with the electric field. But how is the direction going to be? If the electric field is to the right, the force experienced by the charge will be to the left, and its value is going to be minus E into E. And the reason for the negative sign is because the acceleration of the particle and the electric field are always in the opposite direction. So, to conclude about this page, this diagram is about when you don't connect any potential source. As soon as you connect the potential source, the first thing that you observe is the electrons start experiencing force. Hence, when subjected to electric field, this is how the electrons will get aligned. So, they start getting drifted. They get aligned in a particular format, observe this, and they will attain certain velocity. Now, since you are saying F is equal to minus E into E, Then according to Newton's second law, m into a will be equal to minus e into e. Then what is the acceleration of the particle? Minus e into e divided by m. The negative sign speaks about the acceleration in electric field being in opposite direction. So that's the expression that is given here. So you can go through this. So here I have written negative sign indicates that the acceleration is opposite to the electric field. Now what we'll do is, let us consider that there are n electrons. So here always make sure that when you are writing the number of electrons, you try to write it in uppercase. Let us consider there are n electrons which are present in the conductor, and the final velocity of each electron is v1, v2, so on till vn. Since each electron is accelerating uniformly, why are we saying it is accelerating uniformly is because the electric field inside the conductor will be a constant because you have connected a DC source. We know that the charge of the electron is constant and mass is constant, so acceleration is going to be a constant. That is why we have told that each electron accelerates uniformly, and one more important point is every electron will have the same acceleration because they are subjected to the same electric field. The charge of every electron is E, the mass of every electron is m. Now we will use the equations of motion. The first equation of motion, that is v is equal to u plus at. When you apply it to individual electrons, what will happen is v1 vector will be u1 vector plus a vector into t1. See here, if you observe, I didn't write it as a1 because acceleration of every particle is the same. Similarly, v2 vector will be u2 vector plus a vector into t2. Means each particle, each electron will take different time to accelerate to the same value. That is the meaning of this. Similarly, the velocity of the nth particle will be vn vector is equal to u1 vector plus a vector into tn. Now adding up all the final velocity vectors, when you add up on the left hand side, you will get v1 vector plus v2 vector plus so on till vn vector. Similarly, on the right hand side, u vectors will get added plus a into the sum of all the time. Now what we will do is, we will divide with n on both the sides. N stands for number of electrons. So n on both the sides, what we will get is, we will get the average final velocity is equal to the average initial velocity plus acceleration into average time, right? Now according to the first equation, if you observe, according to the first equation, it was like this. The average value of all the velocities, all the initial velocities put together is 0. That is why if you observe here, it is written as 0. Then the acceleration of the particle is minus e into e divided by m. So that is why it is minus e into e divided by m. So sum of all these values is written here. Now this is what we call it as average final velocity of all the particles, and this term is what is called as the drift velocity. Let's see the definition later. So this term is called as drift velocity. The sum of all these times divided by n, which is the average time, is given by the symbol tau, which is called as relaxation time. Here tau represents relaxation time, don't get confused with torque. Now if you try to write this, sum of all the values on the left hand side is Vd is equal to minus e into capital E divided by m into the average of all these values is tau. That is why we have this expression. So the drift velocity is given by this mathematical formula. It is very important for you to remember this expression. We use it at many places. Now let's see. So mathematically we understood that the average of all the final velocities is what is called as drift velocity. Now let's give a definition to it. So what do you call as drift velocity? Why is it being attained? So is drift velocity, question is the drift velocity present before you connected the battery or after you connected the battery? Before connecting the battery means without the presence of electric field. After connecting the battery means in the presence of electric field. So what has happened? So the drift velocity, the electrons have started drifting only after you have connected the battery. So that is why it is defined as the velocity with which the free electrons get drifted towards which direction. So when you connect a positive charge here and negative charge here, inside the conductor you have a free electron, they get drifted towards the positive terminal. And when will this happen? Only when you apply the electric field. So repeating it again, it is the velocity with which the free electrons get drifted towards the positive terminal on the application of electric field. Now what is relaxation time? So relaxation time, it is defined like this. It is the average time between two successive collisions. So if you look at the electrons, we have discussed that the electrons will get collided, right? After they get collided, they start attaining this drift velocity. So the average time that is existing between two successive collisions is what is called as relaxation time. And the next important term is mobility. Mobility has something to do with the movement of particles. Now what we are going to do is we will define mobility in terms of drift velocity. So how is mobility defined as? It is defined as the drift velocity acquired per unit electric field. So mobility is represented with symbol mu. So drift velocity divided by the electric field is what is called as mu. But what is drift velocity? It is minus E into capital E divided by m into tau. See here the negative sign indicates that the drift velocity and the electric field are in opposite direction. Okay. Now using this expression in the previous one, what do you get? Mu is equal to E into capital E divided by m into tau divided by E. This is equal to minus E. So E and E will get cancelled. It will be minus E divided by m into tau. Ignoring the minus sign, we can say that the mobility is equal to E divided by m into tau. Now what is going to be the SI unit for it? SI unit for mobility is, see, drift velocity is measured in meter per second. Electric field is measured in volt per meter. Why volt per meter? So as I told you, electric field has two units. One is Newton per coulomb or volt per meter. Newton per coulomb came from the definition of F by Q. Volt per meter came from the definition of potential gradient, dV divided by dl. V is measured in volt, L is measured in meter. That is why volt per meter. So this volt will go to the numerator, volt inverse, m and m will get multiplied, meter square and second inverse. So this is going to be the SI unit. So from this you can conclude more is going to be the drift velocity, more is going to be the mobility of the electrons inside the conductor.